Throughout our lives, many of us are told that it's about how you end and not how you start. However, in the case of superheroes, the beginning, or rather the origin, tends to be more important. Because even if fans don't follow the rest of the hero's journey, they at least know where it all began. You might not be familiar with the Spider-Man character Carnage, but I'd be willing to bet you at least know about Uncle Ben and a certain radioactive spider that started it all. For a hero, their origin is fuel to draw on when the tank is empty and they're on the brink. It's something that helps keep how far they've come in perspective. For fans, a good origin makes a character more likable, relatable, and adds depth. There's something very enjoyable about seeing a character grow from being normal to becoming, well, super. My Hero Academia, as you probably already know, is an anime and manga, but it's also a superhero story. While its artistic delivery is different from Western comics, cartoons, and movies, it is a superhero story. Kohei Horikoshi, the author of My Hero Academia, has been very openly inspired by these stories, and has made reference to them on more than one occasion. Some examples being twice from the League of Villains being extremely similar to Deadpool, the volume 9 cover art of the manga featuring Deku and Muscular being a homage to an Ultimate Spider-Man comic, and even simply the silhouettes in the opening scene, which are those of popular Western heroes. With a love for comic book heroes who for the most part all have iconic origins, surely Horikoshi aspired to accomplish the same with his own story, My Hero Academia. So, how did he do? In this video we'll first cover why Deku's origin is now complete, how it ended, as well as how does Deku's origin story compare to those of popular Western superheroes like Spider-Man, Batman, Hulk, and Wolverine. The start of Midoriya Izuku's story is a painful one. Born in a superpowered society with much admiration for heroes, most notably the number one hero All Might, Midoriya was crushed to find out at the young age of 4 that he was born without the ability to join the profession he was so enchanted by. Nevertheless, as a child he would hold on to this fascination, studying heroes despite never truly believing he could fulfill his dreams. The story then picks up at the end of middle school where, despite his peers discouraging him as a quirkless fanboy, Midoriya intended to apply to UA, a highly reputable hero school that All Might, his favorite hero, once attended. However, on what would become a rather fateful day after being attacked by a small-time villain, Midoriya was rescued by All Might, who after passing his limits would have his frail form revealed to Midoriya. Then face to face with his greatest inspiration, despite being shocked after seeing such a frail form revealed, he would take the chance to seek the affirmation he desired all his life by asking the question, can one become a hero despite being quirkless? To which All Might coldly responded no, that without power one cannot become a hero, leaving a broken Midoriya to begin thinking about a more reasonably obtainable future. So used to joining the crowds to watch showdowns, Midoriya, while sulking, unconsciously made his way to an incident involving his childhood friend Kachan and the same villain he had himself been saved from not too long ago. Shaken by the sight of his classmate experiencing the same pain he'd endured, Midoriya, while no hero with a suitable quirk was nearby to help, and while also carrying the burden of blaming himself for causing All Might to lose sight of the villain, rushed in to help. Now, his actions didn't directly lead to the safety of Kachan. In fact, Midoriya was actually scolded by the pro heroes for doing something so reckless. Meanwhile, Bakugo with a bruised ego was showered with praise by the heroes at the scene for the quality of his quirk and also for withstanding the attacks. But his bravery inspired All Might to push past his limits and make the rescue. The two would meet again later as All Might had searched for Midoriya to correct his earlier statements, stating that yes, Midoriya could become a hero. So much so that he was worthy of inheriting his power, one for all. Incoming manga spoilers for those that have not read the overhaul arc in the manga, which season 4 of the anime will tackle later this year. It was revealed by All Might's sidekick Sir that at the time of All Might's return to Japan, he was actually on the lookout for a successor, who would have likely been one of UA's students that had already had an amazing quirk. Having this information revealed makes the timing of Midoriya's encounter with All Might even more special. Had they met later, it's possible All Might would have already passed on one for all to someone else, leaving Midoriya out of luck. This was the very start of Deku's origin story, but it would continue with him training his body to become a suitable vessel, passing the UA entrance exam, and working hard to make this power his own, while severely damaging his body a few times in the process, of course. Many of the most iconic origin stories involve loss. For Midoriya, who would take on the hero named Deku, a name that was used to tease him, this would come later. The biggest loss for Deku was also a loss for all of society, and that was the death of the symbol of peace. Toshinori may have not died in his fight against All for One during the Kamino incident, but the hero All Might did. This conclusion greatly impacted society and resulted in Toshinori completely changing his focus to mentoring Midoriya and nurturing the next generation of heroes. Although Midoriya is still a student and of course not an official hero just yet, I believe this final fight against All for One and All Might was the end of the origin chapter for Deku. Up to that point in the story, we saw how he acquired his powers, the learning curve of those powers, and the loss endured, which are all typical themes tackled in an origin story. An origin is not the whole story, it's simply the start, and once Deku became the sole user of One for All, that's where the first chapter came to an end. When you take the origin of Deku in My Hero Academia and put it next to those of popular Western comic heroes, you see that there are plenty of similarities. More often than not, there is a beginning, the way power is obtained, the learning curve of that power, new relationships, loss, and growth. My Hero Academia has all these themes, but of course it does some things better than it does others. For me, the handling of new relationships as well as the way One for All was handled are most worthy of praise. We don't know anything about Midoriya's father, except for the fact that he breathes fire, but with the introduction of All Might, Midoriya now has a proper father figure. Their relationship has developed from number one hero and fanboy to teacher and student, and at times now, father and son. Toshinori viewed his predecessor, Shimura Nana, as a mother, so it's cool seeing that now he's playing the role of a parent for his successor. One for All, the power passed down by All Might to Deku had a simple but very painful learning curve. Watching Deku shatter his arms in times of desperation was at times painfully repetitive, but those times of frustration makes now watching in amazement as Deku vanishes from wall to wall, smashing everything in sight, leaving only a flash of light behind him so satisfying. That's some great development. Certain heroes are able to use their powers fast, while others have a long development period. A hero like Spider-Man is on the quicker side of the spectrum. At first he was shocked by his powers, walking on walls and being unable to free himself from surfaces he'd crawled on. But quickly after that, he was able to begin his work as a hero. Someone on the longer side like Deku would be the Hulk, whose powers are hard to control and you never really know what you're gonna get when he shows himself. I say the handling of One for All is worthy of praise, not only because of the learning curve but also how the power was obtained, and I don't mean the fact that a strand of hair had to be eaten. It's great that the hero Midoriya had admired all his life was the one to give him the opportunity to chase his dreams, but just as amazing is the fact that it was a choice for him to take this power. Most commonly, powers are blessed or forced onto a character and then they make the decision to use it. Typically because it's morally wrong if you have the power to save someone in danger and choose not to. Deku, however, willingly took on this responsibility. It wasn't forced onto him, and I think that's a respectable aspect of his origin even though at the time he didn't know the burden tied to this power. To become the successor to this great power, something had to be taken. While a life was not lost, what Midoriya lost was something that impacted the world. The loss of the symbol of peace, All Might. To have his hero reduced to a state where he is forced to retire was painful for Midoriya, and is My Hero's equivalent to Bruce Wayne losing his parents, Peter Parker losing Uncle Ben, and to Wade Wilson losing, well, his face. That impactful moment was painful, yes, but it was the catapult we'll look back on as the moment Deku's story really began. The close of Deku's origin chapter was some time ago, and since then he soared like a hawk. It's almost hard to believe that the character we see now is the same boy we saw in chapter 1. While the change isn't all that drastic mentally, it's undeniable that his powers have reached new heights that seem foreign compared to the powers at the start. Where the story goes from here is yet to be seen, but we do know Deku will get even stronger and that new obstacles will appear. So, what do you think about Deku's origin? Do you agree that it's ended? Is it a good one? And how does it compare to the iconic stories we have for heroes in the West? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more My Hero Academia content. Until next time, I am Young Kami J. Have a great day. Goodbye.